Welcome back to Greenthumbs Garden. I'm Alex and today we're going to be talking a little bit about what went wrong in our last attempt to make olive oil. The colour was spectacular, unfiltered, pure, fresh olive oil. It's oxidised a little bit and that's what happens. It loses that lovely fresh green quality, and that's why you very rarely find olive oil so green in the shops, and why it's also so prized, because it's so tasty, so delicious, and it smells fantastic, or at least it should do. And that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video, why ours lacked in aroma and taste. So I have a strong inkling on what factors led to our olive oil coming out with a bit of a funny taste and not much aroma. And I thought, well, let's talk about this in this video. Maybe this mistake can at least serve to educate you and help you to avoid the same pitfalls. And near the end of the video, I thought we could answer some of the questions that you guys have been asking on the how to make your own olive oil video. Certain questions have been getting asked quite often. I thought, well, they kind of reflect the community, so, well, let's answer them together. So why did our olive oil not come out so good? What we should have got was an extra virgin olive oil. We didn't heat the mixture that high. It was like, what, 35, almost 40 degrees, the water we put in. The oil's not actually smelling terrible, but it's not like you've extra virgin olive oil. So what factors led our oil to coming out, well, not as good as it should have? Well, I've put it down to two things we need to change for our next attempt. The first culprit is, well, our pressing mats. They're made from a natural fibre, and in our first attempt last year, which there was only a few shorts online, we never actually made a video. I actually got the footage, but I never bothered editing it. What affected our olive oil last year was they smelt like these mats. I did give these mats a bit of a soaking and I pressed the water out, but there's still a little bit of that pungency, that ropey, natural fibre smell leaching into our olive oil. Now, that would have never happened if I'd have actually chose acrylic, a plastic pressing mats, but I do hate plastic, and I don't want to go down that road. What we need to do for next year is soak these mats, and I might have to do that until the water's coming out completely clear. That should indicate then that there's no more tannins and odours that will be coming out of the mats. So the mats, I do believe, were a large contributor to why our olive oil didn't have a lot of smell. And the taste, I found the taste was a little bit like metallic. And that's where our second problem came in, is our press. Now, when I looked at the press, and if you can see the bottom plate here, you can see the paint coming off. And I painted my press a day before, and I put like 3 coats on in a day. When I took off the mats have been impressed into the paint, and I believe that the taste of that paint, which is not a desirable taste, it's awful, I believe that has also leached into the oil. The oil and the water slurry that's coming out of the olives as they're getting pressed is briefly touching on that bottom plate, and I believe it's enough for it to affect the flavour. You can see here, this is the mat that was touching the bottom plate like this. The mat, under that 20 tons of pressure, has been pushed into the plate, and it's affected the outcome of our oil. Lesson learnt. I don't know if I'd have waited longer for that paint to dry really solid, if it still would have gave a flavour, but on reflection, it wasn't a good idea. I don't know if that paint was food grade. It was a good quality paint. I just didn't think that it would have been stood on the metal long enough for it to pick up that flavour, but it certainly has. The flavour of that oil is very similar to how that paint smells, and you just can see here when you look at that how much of that paint's coming off. Really bad. So the plan is I'm going to remove this and I'm going to use a stainless steel paella dish. You don't want the Teflon stuff, you don't want that to start coming off after a few years. Stainless steel lasts forever. You cut a little hole on one side, weld a stainless steel flute to it so the oil can go out. That isn't going to pick up any odors or any nasties. It's all food grade and safe. So I need to get that ready and sorted before the season starts again and we give our olive oil production another go. So now I've finished with them mats, I'm gonna sit on them because this floor's really cold. It's just started raining. It's really cold here in Cordoba at the minute. It's been raining like mad this last couple of weeks. It's been really hard just to get out and make a video, and I thought today I need to crack on. It's nice, it's a nice weather. It's not too cold, so I need to make hay while the sun shines, as they say. So here's some questions from the community, questions that I think best represent what you guys have been asking regarding the making of olive oil. So here we go. Hey, not bad, eh? Not bad. Joe Del Rio asks, what's the name or type of grinder you used? Well, we actually shot a video of that last week. When that's out, there'll be more information about it. But just a quick rundown, the mill that I used in that video is a wet and dry mill. It's got about 3 horsepower. The wheels spin, the grinding wheels, about 1400 RPM. It actually came with interchangeable grinding wheels, so you've got like a set of steel flat burrs that you can put in there as well if you want to mill corn, stuff like that, or you got your grinding stones for peanut butter and olives, things like that. It's a really good, powerful mill. They need to be powerful for olives because you got to crush up that nut as well. By next week, that video will be out talking all about this mill, and hopefully I can try and get some links out there to help you find something similar. Troy White asks, he says, do the seeds get milled or do they get removed? Now you mill the whole thing, seeds and all. There's a lot of oil content in them seeds, so you just mill job lot. The only thing you're removing is twigs and leaves and stuff like that. That you don't want going into the grinder. It might cause problems, might cause unnecessary wear and tear or damage. The seeds do get milled. Andy Regan asks, he says, is there anything you can use the olive water for? You know, the water, the slurry, and we separated the oil and the water in that video. What can we use that leftover water for? Well, nothing much, it seems. I've not done loads of research on that subject, but from what I've found, it is considered to be a pollutant. It's toxic, it's super high in tannins and some other elements that are not considered great. I did read in the same article that you could use it as a fertilizer in diluted quantities, and there's apparently studies to suggest that it helps to remove heavy metals out of the soil, but I don't really know. I didn't read that much on that subject. It seems in general that the water cannot be used for anything. Renato asks, he says, can I buy a bottle of your olive oil? Thank you. That sounds a little bit like a shameless plug, but it has been asked quite a few times, and well, sadly no, I cannot sell olive oil. I'd need a laboratory to get it tested after, and I'd need to be producing like a substantial amount. I didn't produce a lot of oil this year. I came away with about 3.5 litres, and I wouldn't even sell that because I'm not happy the way it came out. It needs to be better. It needs to be, maybe in the future, if I ever do manage to get this little small hold and produce my own olive oil, now that would be really cool to try and make some of that available and sell it if I'm getting enough. What I have been considering, and let me know what you guys think in the comments, is I know a few people here producing olive oil in Cordoba, and one company in particular produces a really nice olive oil. The aroma is spectacular. It's a really high quality oil. And I was thinking to talk with them and see if they can export to the US and other countries, and maybe if we could get some kind of collaboration going and I could sell some of their oil on my website. but there's nothing actually in the works. It's just a little thought that popped up into my head after seeing all you guys' comments. Let me know what you think of that. If you'd be interested in buying olive oil from Spain, I don't know if it's even allowed, the import and all that, and what's required. But I can ask around and try and find out. Another couple of things that's been pointed out. A few people have said, is it really worth it? You know, a day's work came out with 3 litres of oil. Well, you got to bear in mind that I was filming as well. I had the munchkin there all day. We was setting up lights because it started getting dark, and trying to prepare the scene a little. I know the scene isn't like Hollywood or anything, but it still requires time to try and find nice camera angles and positions, and then I can't say anything right. Once that camera turns on, my tongue's like getting stuck in between my teeth and I'm messing it up. So it takes a lot of time. You know, I'm guessing with experience, don't forget, I'm still learning. I reckon in one day, without the picking, because the picking is another story, you should be able to make a substantial amount of olive oil in one day. If you've got the olives all picked, you'd say you'd spend a day picking, and then you'd need another day to put them into production. But you'd be coming out with maybe 60 litres of olive oil. And as a family, me and my wife, we use around 45, maybe 50 litres of olive oil a year. So you're laughing, especially considering the price of olive oil now. And it's not everything in life can be quantified in how much money you're getting out of something. You're getting something that's been homemade, that's had passion and interest put into it. In the case of olive oil, you would be homing in on just 2 or 3 trees and tasting them trees. When you're getting olive oil from a massive milling company, that's oil that is being taken from hundreds and even thousands of trees, and it's all just blended together. And I'm not knocking that. I still, you know, here in Spain especially, we're spoilt for choice when it comes to great quality olive oil. It isn't hard to find, unlike what I've heard from many living in the US. A lot of their olive oil is adulterated, and you're buying olive oil and you're paying prime dollar for it, and it might be mixed in with seed oil, something like that. In that situation, if you are able to grow your own tree and produce your own oil, then it doesn't sound like a bad thing. So yeah, you've got the initial cost, haven't you, of the mill to consider. In total, you're looking from about $1,000 to $1,500, and you've got your own little setup then. Is it worth it? Totally. It's really fun when you're squeezing that press and you're seeing the oil coming out, and I do believe that it will pay back in time. If you get to a point where you can make a substantial amount of oil every year, then in time, yeah, it's totally worth it. But obviously you're going to have that initial cost at the beginning. So, well, it's been fun chatting with you guys. If you didn't catch that video, I'll make sure it just pops up now. Get that watched, how to make your own olive oil, or if that video is out on the mill, talking more about the mill, how you can find one just like it or kind of like it, that video is just going to pop up for you now. As always, it's been fun catching up with you guys, and I'll see you in the future.